Hello, my loves. I'm Ellie Frost, and I help people rapidly and radically heal and transform during and after narcissistic abuse. And I want to talk today about what is a true boundary. I teach people this in my course, right? A true boundary is not a threat. Yeah, it's not something you just say and don't stand by. It is a deal breaker. So it's really important to sit down and think about what your true boundaries are. Now, when you're with a narcissist, they're going to constantly push your boundaries. They're going to constantly try and erode them. They're going to constantly try and beat you down. But a true boundary is a deal breaker. So, for example, maybe monogamy is a deal breaker for you. That's your boundary. If you cheat, I'm off, right? You have to be very true. You shouldn't need a lot of boundaries, right? But you've got to be true to the ones that you have. Yeah? I mean, you get to change your mind. This is life, right? You can change your mind. But when you are thinking about your boundaries, you shouldn't have like tons of them. But a boundary is a deal breaker. This is where there's a consequence to the action. It doesn't have to be that you're going to leave, right? But there's always a consequence to the action. Could be, if you cheat, we need to go to therapy. You know, there's a consequence to a boundary that you're going to stand by. Otherwise, it's not a boundary. And when you've got true boundaries, right, no one can push them. When you are energetically aligned with those boundaries, which I teach people how to do, you are completely uneffable with, right? Because your boundaries matter. Now, the challenge is, most of us, you know, we're not taught this at school. We're not taught emotional intelligence. We're not taught how to set boundaries or what they should be, or even spend a lot of time thinking about it. But it's a really, really important thing to do. I also teach people standards. Standards are different to boundaries. Standards are things that we are working towards. So maybe a standard could be, I want open communication in my relationship, right? I'm not going to leave. Oh, there's not a consequence if I don't have it, but it's something that I'm working on. My standard is that we get better at talking to each other. We get better at communicating. And this is a little bit complicated. So like, yeah, if you join Sovereign, you'll be able to understand more about this. But a boundary is a deal breaker, not a threat. The minute you use a boundary as a threat, you lose all credibility. Right? So when we dig deep and we think about our boundaries, we've got to think, what is the boundary and what's the consequence of someone crossing it? If you're not prepared to enforce the consequence, it's not a true boundary. Lots of love, guys.